Some Republican lawmakers in Florida are trying to delay a measure that will restore voting rights to about 1.4 million former felons. Voters approved Florida's Amendment 4 with about 65% of the vote back in November. The law is set to go into effect today. It does not apply to all ex-felons, like those with murder or sex offense charges. CBS News national correspondent Manuel Bojorquez is in Miami. So, Manny, why are some Republicans trying to delay this?
Well, delay is a word that's being used by proponents of the measure, those who did want to see the rights of former felons restored. They're going on a comment that was made by the newly sworn-in Governor Ron DeSantis to a newspaper that he wanted the legislature to have a chance to look at, quote, the implementing language of that amendment. Many of them felt that it was written to automatically become law, that people would be able to register today, and already many of those former felons already have. But they feel that the governor saying he wants the legislature now to look at this may be a delay tactic. The Republicans and the governor saying at this point they want this to be done right, and that's why they want more oversight over it. But many on the side of those former felons, or as many like to be called, returning citizens, believe that this is an attempt to delay that measure and also possibly to get it held up in courts before any future elections happen.
Republican Governor Ron DeSantis was sworn in today. Does he plan to take any action that would actually delay voting rights for these former felons?
He did not mention former felons' voting rights in his inauguration speech today. He has indicated he believes that this is something that, of course, because it was approved by voters, will go through. But again, many people are looking at this and saying, well, let's wait and see. The issue with having the legislator review the language of the amendment that was passed back in November is that they don't convene until March. And there are elections, local elections, that will be held in March as well in many municipalities here in Florida. So many people do not know whether those who very jubilantly got out to register to vote for the first time in a long time today will be able to cast ballots come March.
Former Florida governor and the current representative, a Democrat, Charlie Crisp, spoke about Amendment 4 today. Here's what he had to say.
It is our job as elected officials to listen to the will of the people, not to subvert it. Let me be clear. With the passage of this constitutional amendment, nothing, not any Florida statute nor executive action, nothing should keep convicted former felons who have paid their debt to society from legally registering to vote.
I'm curious about Democrats and civil rights groups. Are they planning to counter attempts to sort of slow this ballot initiative?
Absolutely. In fact, today they were trying to make sure that anyone who is eligible to now register to vote, those are the 1.4 million people that you referenced earlier who have completed all the terms of their sentences, their paroles and probations, and also those who were not convicted of any sex crimes or murders. They were trying to get them out. They were trying to tell them, here's the information you need to get out there and vote. But they're also going to look very closely at what the governor and the legislator plan to do in this case. And they say they plan to bring any action necessary in order to make sure that what they call the voters' will that was rendered back in November is followed through with.
So, Manny, shortly after Amendment 4 was passed in November, you actually spoke to a 64-year-old man who has never voted because of a crime that he committed in his 20s. Here's what he had to say.
There'll be a day that I really feel good. I really feel like a citizen, you know, not just a person, a Floridian, but I would feel like an American.
What does it mean for someone like him, a former felon, to have their voting rights restored?
Yeah, you heard it right there. He said, I finally feel like an American again. We spoke with people the day after this measure passed, and they were all just ecstatic about being able to vote again. These are people who said they have paid their debt to society, and now they would like to have a voice now that they are upstanding members of society, and that was not something that they were able to have before, Florida being one of the few states that still had a law like this in the books. So a lot of people happy back then, a lot of people happy today that they will be eligible to register to vote, although, as we've been talking about, some questions still linger.
Manuel Bojorquez, Manny, thank you very much.
Thank you.